funny video. How's your Friday going?
Not too bad actually. It's been pretty chill. I did had two cats screaming for breakfast and then laundry, and that's about it.
Laundry. Yeah, listen, I am so sorry. I had the time zones mixed up.
No, that's okay. I for some reason thought you were also in mountain time with me, and so I was like, yeah, noon, we know what's
I gotta
up.
do better. Yes, I'm in. I'm on the eastern side. I'm in Georgia,
Okay, yeah.
but I do want to go to Vancouver and check it out.
Yeah, they're Pacific PST, I think is what they are. Oh God, what just happened?
PST.
Yeah, I put this back on touch controls and they keep okay. Turned off touch controls. I hate these things now.
Yeah, I want to. Yeah, I want. I wanted to check out Vancouver for a while now. It's just I think I heard it's pretty nice up there.
I really enjoyed it. I went back in January and got like a tattoo and it was really nice. I met up with a couple like cosplay friends. It was a fun time.
Okay. Well, shoot, I better put that on my list of places that I want to go to.
Mm-hmm.
Because things, I'm trying to go to Japan, but there's probably a lot more other places I need to check out as well.
Yeah.
So
I think I'm
go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying my next hopeful stop is Vietnam, so that'll be fun.
It was funny. There's a person I interviewed last week, and she was telling me that her family grew up in Vietnam and saying we should go together next time.
Yeah,
So,
my dad spent first 10 years of his life there, kind of thing. So,
how was it for him?
uh war torn.
Oh,
But he liked it enough, kind of thing, and then they left. He hasn't been back, but I think next year marks 50 years since he arrived in Canada, so I think he wants to go next year with everybody.
well, shoot. Well, make sure you get some pictures now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, well, if the small talk is over, I always like to do the small talk first before we get started with these episodes. So let's go ahead and get this underway, shall we? So,
Let's go.
nice to meet you. I am Phil, host of the Conversation Podcast, and I got a special guest with me this Friday. Thank God it's Friday. I love it. Introduce yourself. Who's Vietnam speaking to today?
Hello, my name is V. It is spelled VI. I am a Vietnamese or mixed Vietnamese Canadian cosplayer, streamer, poet. We like to joke I am a modern day Renaissance man. I use they, he pronouns, and I have been out as queer for about 12 or 13 years now.
Really interesting. Well, I can't wait to see what you do these next few years then. So now, before we get started, let's do a little bit of an icebreaker, shall we? All right. Now I got a question for you. I've seen some of your pictures. Actually, I like the hairstyle you rocking today. I was saying, what other colors are you gonna change your hair to any different colors or keep the red hair for now?
Yeah, I'm actually over the red hair already, which is really funny. I'm going a dark blue black in time for the comic expo in my city because I'm hopefully getting my Superboy Con L cosplay done. And I hate super short wigs, so I'm just gonna use my own hair.
Okay. I can't wait to see what it looks like. But yes, listen, blue's my favorite color. Okay, you see me with a lot of listen. This is blue. I got signed blue hedgehog, everything. Yeah, blue's my favorite color. I just like the color so much. Still, but sometimes I do like to keep the subtle appearances too. So I like to have blue and black together. But let me tell you a little something. Even though Batman, he likes a lot of objects that are dark because he has to keep that, that costume scheme. His tech is blue.
Yep.
It's true. So I was like, well, shoot, well, if he can do it, then I can have my tech color blue on a black screen or something.
I got 90% of my stuff is yellow. But I wear
can tell.
nothing but black.
Yeah, I could tell. Look at those stars in the background.
Oh yeah. just set up a celestial cat tree for the cats, so that's fun.
Oh, do they love it?
Yeah, no, they're obsessed. They love it a lot. But I've got the door closed because otherwise too much noise gets through, and then so we might see them at some point.
That's fine though. Plus, you're like my ace cat person.
Yeah.
Ace cat person. So, but that's good. I can use a lot more cat people in here. So let's go ahead and now that the ice is broken, let's go ahead and get into it. So it's 20 questions and I divide them up into sections. Okay. So let's start with the origin story and early inspirations. Now, take me back to the beginning. What first pulled you into cosplay and content creation?
Oh gosh. I've always been a big fan of like Halloween and stuff like that. I was a dancer growing up, and so I loved donning costumes in general. And then once my dad actually surprised me when I was very, very young with tickets to the Comic Expo. And so we went, and I remember watching all these people like dressing up and being all these characters. So like, oh my God, that's so fun. And then we kept going, and then my dad was like, if you want to keep going, you have to dress up, because why would you go to a comic expo without dressing up? So I went, he's right. I'm going to get going and start dressing up. And now years later, he asks me why I'm into all this nerd shit, as if he didn't introduce me to all said nerd shit to begin with. But I love the expression. I was a big fan of like Face Off, a lot of like the Mythbusters stuff where just like they build a bunch of things. I was a big fan of the technical aspect and then also the ability to express oneself. Actually, my most well-known cosplay came from a meme, which was really funny. I was like, this would be funny to do. And it's now 10 years old and in the midst of a big redesign. And I'm like, holy shit.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah. Oof. He surprised you with them gifts so you can start going to those conventions. Because I don't know. I don't know if I saw any of your pictures that you had of going to of cosplay. I don't think I paid attention. But you had a passion for like these characters and wanted to be like, hey, I want to be a part of something that makes me who I am. And I've seen so many people like, hey, I made this cosplay. I'm doing stuff that I'm into, so y'all should really check me out.
Yeah. I enjoyed like when I first started getting into it, cosplay a lot was what can you grab kind of thing. People were cutting their hair, dyeing their hair. There wasn't any makeup or like contact lenses or anything. People were hitting up Value Village for stuff. And so I've always been a big fan of like, what can you grab reusable? How resourceful is the community and stuff like that? So it was really nice to kind of move into said community. A lot of my cosplays are thrifted or stuff that I already have at home. Some of it is starting to be like brand new fabric that I've bought or fabric I've thrifted secondhand kind of thing. Just because there are certain things that I do, like a spandex suit. There's no way I'm grabbing like spandex from Value Village, so I gotta hit up a local fabric store. But I've got I bought a curtain and then turning it into a pair of pants kind of thing because it's exactly the density that I want. So
hey, you'd be surprised what you find at you'd be surprised about what you find at thrift shops.
absolutely. I got an $80 shirt for $8 for my Sabrina Spellman cosplay, and I was like, this is literally perfect.
Gotta make use what's in your toolbox, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's working. And so, but yeah, those cosplays, as I just looked them, I was like, wow, that's a lot of amazing stuff she did with just a few things she found at thrift stores. Hey,
So,
you know, I can
did.
tell. Oh, they did. Oh, yeah, they did.
No, you're good.
Sorry. Yeah, because you know, like, because I know sometimes the cosplays you see, I've seen so many cosplays online, and it's really expensive. It's really expensive. Like, shoot, I hope you got a hospital ready for your wallet.
Yeah.
So, let's go to the next question. Now, You probably know the answer to this one. Do you remember the
Mhm.
first character you ever cosplayed and what that experience meant to you at the time?
Oh gosh, yeah. The first one that I cosplayed and took to like a genuine convention was Navi from The Legend of Zelda.
Ooh,
I grabbed a like spirit Halloween white bob wig kind of thing. I had an old dress that I wasn't wearing anymore, that was in like varying shades of, excuse me, blue. Uh, Made myself a tiny little "Hey, listen" sign and headed to the anime convention. And I just remember people like stopping and being like, "Oh my god, are you Navi from Ocarina of Time?" I was like, I am. And it was just like, it was such a funny experience. Where people, there was a lot of like people being like, "Holy shit, I've never seen a Navi cosplay," and then there were people being like, "Oh my god, it's so cursed." Um, and but it was so fun, like finding community in that I kept going. And I actually have like a gigantic sign that I made at some point. Um,
wow.
because I was like, I love this thing so much. And so this is like my most recognizable. I found the most like community with it. One of my best friends literally whipped together like a Link cosplay last year so we could all be Legend of Zelda like characters together at the convention. It's I found so many friends, and then I was able to kind of go through and do so many more amazing, fun things because of the people that saw my silly meme cosplay that I was like, no one's done this. This will be silly. And now I'm friends with like award-winning cosplayers because we found community in cursed cosplay.
Wow. Yeah, I've seen so many of you guys out there, and it's nice to have those connections. Like that had to be like a very big moment when you first started with the whole Nog from Zelda. I'm not a huge Zelda person, but I am willing to try it at some point. So, but yeah, you want to like, we used to listen, once you step into something new, you're already doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So it may
Yeah.
it may not be easy on the first day, but it gets better if you continue.
Yeah, I remember being so nervous the first time. And I'm always nervous every time I like debut a new cosplay because I'm like, oh, what if people don't like it? What if people don't know it? And I just gotta remember I like it and I know it. So that's all that matters.
Right. Next one. This one's going to be important. Okay. Now,
Hmm.
growing up as a mixed Vietnamese Canadian creator, were there particular fandoms, characters, or artists that made you feel seen?
Hmm. Um, Obviously, like growing up, there wasn't a lot of just like Asian representation in general. So Mulan was like a big thing. Wasn't my culture, but I was like, that's me. Um, and then it was also always funny seeing certain characters that were just kind of like ethnically ambiguous in a way. Like I always viewed specific characters that had like brown hair, brown eyes. I was like, oh, they're also mixed Vietnamese, like me kind of thing. We listened to a lot of like the radio as a kid. Like my Manoi would have the Vietnamese radio on kind of thing. So anyone who was playing on the radio there, it was really important to me. Movie wise, yeah, I remember like being fully attached to like Mulan, and then like as the movies, like the second one came out, I'm trying to think of this one character that I was like, yeah, that's a Vietnamese character, and then years later the creator was like, and this is their ethnicity, and they were like fully white. I went, oh, um, like I guess Hawkeye's one, Kate Bishop Hawkeye, where I was like, yeah, she's Asian. And then they cast, well, Haley Steinfeld is like a quarter Filipino. But when a lot of like talk was happening, it was like, oh, it's gonna be a white person. Kate's white. And I was like, Kate's white? I thought she was mixed. What do you mean? So I think especially like as a Vietnamese, like mixed Vietnamese person, a lot of representation was like characters who were Chinese or Japanese. And I think you just kind of cling to characters that you view as ambiguous ethnicity wise, or characters even if they aren't like yours, you just kind of you cling to them like a Musa from the Wings Club kind of thing. A lot of the Sailor Moon characters, I was like, one of them has to be half Vietnamese. Like, they just gotta be. They're mine now.
Yeah, and 100%, and I'll add on to that, because now that Disney is doing all these live action shows with Mulan, they actually put like all these culture and stuff. Like when they did the Mulan movie, of course, it wasn't a musical. Mm-hmm. But they added like an Asian representation to that movie. Because I was like, Mulan back in the day, it was Chinese culture. I was like, yeah, and I'm on the end of my venting session here. There's been like a lot of backlash and stuff saying, oh shoot, well, hey, this back in the day, Mulan was voiced by a white person. And I was like, that's fine, it's an animated show. But if they're trying to do like more representation in these like movies, they're trying to put like an Asian person in Mulan. They did the same thing with The Lion King because they were based in Africa. Of course, it makes sense to have like people like Donald Glover or Beyonce to be Simba and Nala because it just makes sense. Mm-hmm. And some people are just like, oh, but they're not the same characters they grew up. Well, y'all, the movie from back in the day is still there. Okay. Like we're trying to like make sure people be like, because a lot of people aren't getting a lot of representation these days, and we want to make sure we can make it happen. I mean, you're not gonna like this, V, okay? When they did One Piece season 2, they still kept complaining about Vivi. And I was like, here we go. Y'all just don't like the fact that it's a different race character. Y'all just concerned with the, because she's a white character in an anime show, but that's not the point. The character in these anime shows, they're not white at all. They're Japanese. Oh, shoot. Did I turn off my...
Oh, no.
Hold on. I turned off my camera.
No, you're good.
Hold on. Let's see. Whew, that's close. I think I must have accidentally hit something. It happens. But going back to what I'm saying, like all these characters you see in these shows, they're not white. They're Japanese. I don't understand why y'all still like going over this. And it's like the same thing over and over again. Like I've seen, and they also complained about certain things, like when they did the Little Mermaid 2023, they said, oh, Ariel's not black, she's white. But they're like they like using the same character over and over again is not how we move forward. If you see where I'm going with this.
Yeah. Small addendum to Mulan. Mulan was actually voiced by Ming-Na Wen back in the original cartoon. So an Asian woman did voice. Yeah, which amazing. And an Asian woman also did the singing voice. But you're right. A lot of people like Disney was just really well known for grabbing like white voice actors and throwing them into play people of color and like everything there. I haven't caught up on the second season of One Piece yet, but everything I've seen with like Vivi and the like the culture from the manga and the anime, like it made sense to cast the actress. Like it made sense in my brain. And then the Little Mermaid criticisms is like it's also a fictional thing. Yes. She's playing a mythological creature, like, and if you didn't watch it, you missed out on some amazing vocals because you're racist, like, okay. But like,
Like I
I do
said,
agree. We do need to move forward with like not just reusing and then like reusing characters. We need to be making proper stories.
yeah, exactly. And like I said, if y'all don't like it, don't watch it. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's that simple. And like I said, can you sing character? And I was like, because I've seen so many amazing people. And let me tell you something else. We've seen some people from across the globe come this way to us because people want to see more possibilities and learn about their culture and try to put it in these films and TV shows and music. So we can understand, okay, I understand what you're talking about, as we have to be willing to educate yourselves. And some people out there are not willing to educate themselves on certain things.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll just do the best we can and just keep I'm talking about it. Um
Absolutely.
all right. We're also in section 1 here. Then we'll be on section 2. It's going to be your favorite, okay? Creativity and craft. Now, at what point did cosplay go from something fun you enjoy to something you realize could become a bigger creative outlet?
Um, that's an interesting one because I think it's always like, even as it has evolved, it is always something that I like enjoy as like a fun hobby. I am not really big into like the competition scenes and things like that. Like, I do want to try a competition at least once. Um but it's always been something silly and goofy, and while I get to challenge myself like creatively, it's not something that has ever reached a point where I'm like, holy shit, I have to like do this and I can't have fun while I'm doing this kind of thing. Um, it's, I guess, like when it reached a bit more of like a creative outlet. Um, I I realized I could like cosplay things from pieces of media that like no one had heard of or were like incredibly obscure. I could do like niche things. And it would be entertaining and fun for me, and it could like challenge me creatively to look at newer techniques or look into old techniques and see how I could do like that, and then still keeping it like fresh and fun and something that doesn't feel like a chore. Because I think sometimes we get into a spot, especially like cosplayers, where there's so many new techniques coming out, like helmet wigs, how people use warbler or foam or like embroidery and things like that, that gets like tedious, and your brain goes, holy shit, this isn't fun, and I'm doing this because I need to stay up with like all the trends, especially no hate to anyone who does helmet wigs, but especially helmet wigs because they are so time consuming. um I think, I want to say at some point during um my second kind of like second costume that I started to make, it was more, I just started with the prop. I wanted to do the prop. I made Sailor Saturn's glaive, which fell apart after one night because I didn't have the right glue for the foam and the metal that I was using. And it fell apart after one night, but it was a challenge that was like still incredibly fun. And it made me realize that like, oh, I can hit up like local Home Depot or something like that for whatever, or like my Canadian Tire, like I can grab stuff that you wouldn't even think to use, and now like, and make it into something absolutely amazing. So like my big Navi sign is black paint, whiteout, and cardboard kind of thing. Because I couldn't find any white paint, so I went and grabbed whiteout, and it was a way to kind of challenge myself creatively in a sense to get it done in a night. And just kind of go from there. I've got like a shirt that's just a bunch of wooden dowels that are sticking out of it because I was like, oh, I had those on hand. I need to make something. Yeah, I'm looking around being like, what do I have here that really shows just like it's something that challenged me and allowed me to kind of put a lot of love and in certain times like grief into creating something beautiful that brings me joy and brings other people joy.
Okay. Wow, that's a good and long answer. Yeah, I know sometimes we do things and it's like, okay, I'm doing this for fun, but now I want to make sure I'm making money off this. Listen, I'm trying to do my best. I know I got to make money off of certain things, but I still want to be myself and have fun with this because this is like, it's helping me with my mentality and it's something I really like doing. The money stuff will come later. And that's what some, small time creators or cosplayers will do. They will just, we just want to focus on having fun, but the money stuff comes later. But they're like stressed out and be like, do I really belong in this space? Like, can I really be like one of those top cosplayers or something? Because I think you've heard of the term imposter syndrome, right?
Yep.
So, and some people do have imposter syndrome, but what we need to understand, like it's okay to walk before you can run. Like, don't try to get to the finish line so quickly.
Absolutely. I think I started there kind of thing. I was like, oh, I got to do all these big, brilliant things if I ever want to be noticed and all that stuff. And it took like a huge toll on my mental health where I didn't enjoy cosplaying for a bit. And then I was like, well, why am I doing that? To appease others? Or like, why do I cosplay? To make other people happy or because I like doing creative things?
Yeah. And lately, if you've seen some of my stuff on my page as well, like I won't be posting a lot like every week or something. I might, but thing is, if I'm going to do something, I don't post without context behind it. I used to do that back in college because I was just trying to get attention. But now it's like I get to a certain age where it's like, okay, I need to just slow down because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I need to have context before I just start shooting my mouth off or whatever. Otherwise, I'm gonna put myself in a tight spot.
Yeah.
So, but I think that's the main thing. You want to keep doing what you like that makes you happy. And listen, if you start making money, that's good. But don't forget why you're doing all of it. So, all right. So we're out of section 1. Now we're in section 2, creativity and craft. Now, your work spans cosplay, streaming, and slam poetry. Now, how do those different forms of creativity feed into each other?
I think they give me the ability to really like stand tall in a sense. One, they give me, if a cosplay is causing me problems, it gives me a bunch of creative words with the slam poetry, but they give me different ways to channel energy, to channel all of my joy and my grief, any like desire to do something different. My poetry a lot focuses on what it means to be like a mixed Vietnamese person growing up, child of like a refugee, and then also growing up like as a queer person and how that kind of intersects and what comes of that. A lot of my stuff recently has focused on just processing grief since my Benoit passed. So that's been really helpful to be able to move through and with that grief. Whereas like streaming gives me a fun outlet to one, play games, but also get to talk to people and learn new things, educate other people as well. Something that I really enjoy doing is just like chatting streams. So sometimes we'll just talk and it'll devolve from like Batman into like current socioeconomic policies and like how that impacts people around the world and what that means. And then it'll go right back into like Hawkeye or something like that. Like it always kind of twists and turns, and it gives me the ability to connect with people from different aspects that maybe I don't always get to connect with, and then become friends with so many new people around the world, which is so fun. And then it also opens opportunities for like collaborations with people, either like playing games like Peak or Manami Park with Slime Rancher 2. Like they gave me a key to review their game, and I was like, that's so fun. And then cosplay is a way to express myself in ways that are very freeing. As someone who is trans masculine, sometimes dressing a bit more feminine or even like sounding a bit more feminine immediately has people like assuming things, and then I can't do other things because I'm like I can't dress like certain femininely, or I can't like makeup or something, because then people are always like, oh, you're a girl. It's like, well, not a girl, but then I can go and dress up as like women characters because I enjoy their character design more, but I get to express myself in like a feminine way without people misgendering me in a way. Like, yes, they're still gonna potentially misgender me, but they're more so thinking about the character, and so it doesn't impact me in the same sense as if I am going about my day-to-day life and someone is like, oh ma'am, and I'm like, no. But it allows me to kind of express myself. I'm getting into more like I've got a couple more like men characters kind of things. So like Jason Todd, that one's been really, really fun. I did Daredevil. I'm working on Superboy kind of thing. Like it gives me a way to creatively express myself and play with my gender sometimes as well, which is really fun.
Okay. Yeah, you want to whatever like all the stuff that you're doing now, you're expressing in yourself and how you feel. Because let me say this, some people are trying to figure out how to word this right. Let me think. Some people, and I've ran into some people at these events and mini markets, they're just shy to express themselves. So the way they do it to express themselves, they do all kinds of things. They write stories, they illustrate stuff, they do fashion design, anything art related. And that way they're communicating without having to talk too much about it, which is understandable because I know some people are not, well, some people are just not all sunshine and buttercups every day. So they have to figure out ways to communicate with others. Like, listen, like if y'all like if I go up to a person and like, hey, I want to talk, like, can you talk to me? You can talk to me. I know it's like me and a stranger, but I also gotta understand like sometimes they just they're not in the mood to talk. They're just mostly quiet. Maybe something bad happened, they had a little tragedy or something that happened in their life, which is too painful to talk about, which is understandable. So if what I'm saying can relate to this anyway, you have to like whatever you're doing, you love what you like doing, and you're expressing yourself in that way so people can be able to like see what you're all about. So
Yeah, I think they're all aspects, so they all in a sense express and then influence due to that, and it helps people talk in a certain way to connect.
exactly. So yeah, so I think for us, and since you're doing all this stuff, I say if it makes you if it's express yourself in the best way possible, I say keep doing it. If I meet others who are just like you and they just want to express themselves through words, I'll understand the best way I can. If I don't, just help me out.
Yeah.
So Oh, next one. When you're building a cosplay, what part of the process excites you the most? Let me try it again. When you're building a cosplay, what part of the process excites you the most? Designing, crafting, performing, or revealing it to your audience?
Hmm. I think um that one's really hard actually, because now I gotta think about what does excite me most.
I hit you with a
Um,
hard one, didn't I?
it's the first one that stumped me. um I think the thing that actually excites me most about a new cosplay is the challenge of it. Um, Designing is fun and like actual crafting is fun, and then like being able to show it off to myself and my audience, like those are all like fun things. The thing that always excites me most is what am I doing with it? Like what is challenging about it? Um, I try to learn at least like one new skill that I'm actually interested in per cosplay kind of thing. And so it is the challenge of like, what can I do? What am I learning? How does this present? So one that I'm thinking of right now, I learned coding in a couple of days for a cosplay because I was like, that's exciting. That is the thing I'm most excited about. How can I uh do function and form, well, code a pair of wings that go up and down so I can go through the like artist Sally vendors hall kind of thing without having to remake my set of wings every single convention. And so it's the challenge of like, what can I learn and how can I apply that? Like I'm learning 3D embroidery now as well because I was like, that'll be fun. What can I do? I've given myself way more time than the coding, so we're not descending into madness quite yet. Because I definitely did coding in 2-ish days, finished everything up. Uh, I think so. I coded it like in 3 hours or something, like a month before. And then the week leading up to the convention, I spent one evening soldering everything together. And then the night before the convention, putting it all together for the actual cosplay. So we descended into madness a little bit with that. It's the challenge of learning something new that I want to learn already.
Wow, you did coding and all that graphic stuff. How how
Yeah.
how is how was the coding? Like, was it difficult?
Uh so it was kind of difficult. I found a someone who was doing something very similar, so all I had to do was kind of like I looked at it and I was like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense." And then I had to adjust it. And I coded for a different board than what I had. So after putting together this code and I was like, "Yeah, it wouldn't load onto my board." So then I had to recode it. And then we couldn't figure out why uh, the wings were both going the exact same way. So I had to code it differently again. Um, but now, like looking at it, I'm like, oh, this makes sense. All I gotta do is probably like crack open a book proper
Oh,
and then give a little bit more thought process into it for certain things. Like I know how to code wings now. If you need wings coded, I can do that. But there are other things that like I want to code that I'm like, I don't know. Um, but it was an experience. I learned it in like Yeah, just a couple of someone had put like together a tutorial and I looked at it and I was like, "Oh, that's very similar." And so I applied aspects and went, "So this is how I do this." And then I had to take that code and translate it into a completely different code for a different board and I was like, "This is so much." But if you ever need wings that'll flap or will fold, I'm your guy.
Oh my. Well, shoot, I might need to check out some of your artwork. Cause okay, well, let me tell you why I asked. Cause I just finished my cybersecurity program back in Christmas, so still
Mm-hmm.
looking for jobs, but it will come when the time is ready. So I was thinking, well, she does coordinate. It's gotta be, it ain't easy as it seems. So but I think practice makes perfect, right?
No, yeah,
So
absolutely, yeah.
so shoot, I might need to look into that coin stuff. But yes, all that the most exciting part is all of these things that I just said to you, with the design, creative, perform, and revealing, you're actually putting together something, a beautiful tapestry for everybody to look at. And I think that's what matters. Like, it doesn't matter like how, like, I think it doesn't matter like how long it takes, how many years it takes. Listen, I've seen a few cosplayers who cosplayed so much and made these costumes to make it look like they're Whis and Vados, and they were S-class level cosplays. Like, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
making this stuff up, V.
Yep.
Even Damon Mills, the voice of Frieza, asked if he could get a picture with them. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh, these guys are talented. How did they do this? Oh my gosh. It said it took them 2 years. 2 years is a
Oh
long
yeah.
time.
Yep. On average, a lot of builds can take like big, intricate builds can take like if you want them to look really polished, 2+ years kind of thing.
Shoot, yeah, are you gonna do something that big?
It's the plan. It is the plan. I've got two big ones after these two that I'm working on right now, so
Oh wait, you can't tell me, can you? It has to be a surprise.
well, one of them I've already told a couple people. I want to do Beatrix LeBeau from the Slime Rancher series. She has a really cool vacuum like pack thing in the game that I'm planning on adding a lot of LEDs and some moving parts to. So the prop is going to be the huge part, and then the next one is a little bit of a surprise. So
Woo. Okay, okay, okay. So at least I'll be able to tune into that one. You don't have
yeah.
listen. You don't. A magician never tells his tricks. You know.
Oh, yep. I never reveal my secrets. Actually, I always do. Every time someone's like, "How do you do this?" I'm like, "Actually, you want to learn?"
That's fine. Well, shoot. Once you get started cosplays, I want to see him. Okay, so I'll be in awe.
Absolutely.
All right. Now, next question: is there a cosplay you've created that felt especially personal or meaningful to you? I wanted to skip this question, but I just couldn't because it's really interesting.
Yeah. Um. Hmm. So I didn't make this one. Um. I was like, I want to buy this one kind of thing, and I'm working on the wig and stuff like that. This one I decided I was going to purchase because I didn't want to mess it up because I had never made it before. But I cosplayed Sailor Uranus a couple years back, and I think like I definitely will be making another version. I'd love to do some of uh her like school uniforms and maybe like the princess dress or something like that. But Sailor Uranus is this one cosplay that I have done that means kind of the most to me. Growing up as a queer kid, you don't see a lot of queer people. And so Sailor Moon and Cardcaptor Sakura are the two shows that like really come to mind where I was watching that like as an actual like kid, and then obviously like later on in life there was Oron High School Host Club and like junior high school ish range. But I remember Sailor Uranus being like the first gender uh like ambiguous character, essentially, where people weren't really sure if she was a girl or a boy or what. And I remember just latching on to this character, especially as someone who like grew up, didn't identify with girlhood, but didn't identify with like boyhood, and just sitting there kind of going like, where do I fit in this world? And so Sailor Uranus doing the does it really matter if I'm a girl or a boy line, and just like dressing however she wanted and presenting in whatever way really meant a lot. And so the first time I put on the Sailor Uranus outfit, like I got it in, I gave it a wash, and then I put it on. I didn't do like I didn't put on the wig, I didn't do any makeup. I just put on the outfit, see how it like fit and all that stuff. And I remember like genuinely tearing up at it. Because this is a character that does mean so much to me as a non-binary person. And so being able to see myself as Sailor Uranus in that aspect, I was like, oh wow. And then being able to walk around, and even though I didn't have the wig, because the wig that I had bought was like way too poofy and I didn't have enough time to like properly style it, people just going like, oh wow, Sailor Uranus, you look amazing. And I was like, oh, thank you so much. That was one that like really means a lot to me. And then one that I'm working on, my secret one that I'm working on, the process of that is really, really personal as well.
I understand. Well, shoot, that must have been overwhelming. That someone like, listen, I be telling people nobody's perfect. You know, I'm not perfect, but I think as long as people see that you like, because I know when they saw you in that Alpha V, people just said you was like you did your best. That's all that matters, and that made you feel squishy on the inside too. Because I was like, I did the best I could, and I didn't get any like negativity from that.
Yeah, it was a really special day with that. Yeah.
So, but hey, the more cosplay you're doing, you'll get better at it, and all we can ask is just do the best you can, both of us as well.
Yeah.
So. All right, next one is about slam poetry. Slam poetry is such a raw form of expression. How did you get into it, and what does that art form allow you to express that cosplay or streaming might not?
I watched a lot of button poetry growing up. In kind of like high school, I watched a lot of the button poetry, where it was people kind of talking about their most raw experiences. And I remember like seeing how that connected with other people, how it connected with me. And I felt like I had like a lot to say. I tried at some point like writing books and stuff like that, but I am not a very good written storyteller, I want to say. I am like, I do play D&D and I do DM a game, and so I can like tell a story, but to write a story down, my brain just kind of goes like, whoa. And I remember there was a lot of like poetry events. I actually did something called the Coming Out Monologues for the first time in 2017, where I kind of discussed every time I had come out and every time how like relationships in that aspect had influenced it. And I watched and listened to a bunch of other queer performers discuss their kind of experience. I remember thinking there's so much to be said. So I wrote something new in 2019, which got really big. I did 2 shows, and then I was planning on doing a 3rd show in 2020, but then everything shut down, so didn't end up doing that. Then back in January, or back in September last year, a friend of mine reached out and was like, "Hey, I want to have you as a featured poet for my thing." And I got to perform a couple new pieces as well. Poetry is something that allows me to express a lot of emotions that are deemed unsavory in a sense. Anger and grief and like just kind of soul crushing depression in a way that is artistic and helpful to move with. I don't like the phrase you move past your grief or you move on from things. I think you move with and through. And so poetry is something that allowed me to channel a lot of anger and grief and just like depression and stuff like that into something that has helped me process things to move through and with that kind of stuff. Whereas like streaming, a lot of the time you are still performing for an audience, and you do have to think about how you are coming across. I don't love with like streaming being upset while streaming, so I tend not to stream if I am very like not in a great mindset. And then cosplay has a lot of like artistic things, but I don't do like sketches or anything like that. So there's not a way to really express like certain emotions unless you are creating specific like cosplays that are about said emotions, like certain characters whose heavy like themes are heavy on like depression and grief and stuff like that. Whereas like poetry, you can just kind of write down whatever you're thinking. It doesn't even have to rhyme, and as long as you can make it make sense, it is a work of art.
Definitely, poetry is a work of art. To be honest with you, I need to I actually need to go to some poetry slams. I haven't been to poetry slams like in this lifetime at all, but I am starting to understand like how, if something like let's say for example, like if I had like just something like very exciting that happened to me the last time, like I went to a huge event, or something bad happened and something I just want to express all my frustrations on and just get it out of my system. Definitely slam poetry is definitely one of them. I will say this, since I never been to a poetry slam, what's it like in there?
Everyone is really, really supportive. Back in January, I was like the featured poet for an event. And we had some open mic people, and so they like they presented their pieces. It's a lot of like specifically in the slam poetry circles, snapping became a thing instead of like applause. So in the middle of a poem, if someone said something that you really resonated with, instead of like snap, like clapping, you would snap. So there's a lot of snapping that'll happen. My favorite is when certain people will say something and you can just hear everyone go in the audience, because it like resonates so much with them. Specifically, the one that I was like a featured poet for had a theme. And so there were poems surrounding that kind of theme. It was joyful resistance. How do you stay joyful as a form of resistance? And so it was a lot of kind of, in a sense, conversation that happened, even if it is just a poet like speaking to you. And then afterwards, there's a lot of, like, we talked. We've stayed past, I think, what we were supposed to stay past, because we were just talking. We were talking about, like, thank you for sharing such vulnerable points of your life. Like, I really related to this. Like, thank you for putting an emotion that I had been feeling into words. So a lot of the time, like, slam events are very receptive and very, like, opening.
Okay. Well, shoot, I might need to check out Poetry Slam. I need to see if they got one in my hometown. But yeah, Poetry Slam is like, I know, like, after a long, month and week, it's like I want to go somewhere where I can just get all my feelings out. It's like your hard reset,
Mm-hmm.
and then you get right back into the adventure. And I think that's the nice thing to have, somewhere you can go to express all your thoughts and feelings on this particular situation and understand I got my feelings out. I'm ready to start. How can I do better the next time? So I don't have to so it doesn't happen again, etc. And most people will understand, and from your perspective, hey, he's been through a lot, and it is really not normal for someone to come out and express themselves like this unless they really want to, like, people to understand whatever situations you have, you're free to share them with me.
Mm-hmm.
If I said that correctly here.
Yeah, I think a lot of the time people share as well, not as a, like, I want you to know me thing, more of a, I want people to know that they're not alone in that. Because a lot of people who struggle, like, there are obviously happy poems, but I write a lot in, like, my grief. And so people struggling with grief always feel really isolated. And so I share that and express that because, one, it's a great way to process, but two, there's someone out there who needs to hear exactly what I am saying. And I hope that they hear it and that they know that they are not by themselves in this.
Oh, of course, definitely. We're out of that section now. Now we're in section 3, streaming and community.
Mm-hmm.
Your community is built around growth, education, and fun values. Now, what? Let's wait. I said that wrong. I am sorry. Your community is built around growth, education, and fun. What values did you want to establish when you first started building that space?
Um, oh, I started streaming because I am a performer at heart, and when uh COVID hit, I felt really isolated from my community, like, in person. A lot of things didn't, like, they were canceled, we didn't move online properly. So I essentially had just started because I wanted to connect with people again. Um and then value-wise, I wanted people to know that they had a space to be. Um, for myself growing up, like, online spaces were very, very helpful to connect with other people like me. And so Twitch ended up being a place where I was able to then be potentially that person for someone else, where they could come into the community and see someone like them or someone with like the same kind of experiences and feel known and seen. And then it branched out. Value wise, I wanted, like, to really focus on education and staying up to date on things. I wanted this to be a space where people could make mistakes and feel comfortable making these mistakes and then be better, kind of thing. I operate off of safer space guidelines because I don't like to call myself a safe space. Safe spaces don't, like, they do exist, but they also don't exist in a sense. You can't guarantee your space is safe. And so I operate off of something called Safer Space Guidelines, which is a supportive, non-threatening environment where people can feel open to share these things and people will not like judge. It's meant to be like you leave your biases at the door. Or if you have biases, you are comfortable being challenged with said biases kind of thing. I live a lot of my life of like a if not me then who, and so I feel like I give kind of an area where people can feel comfortable making mistakes and then owning up to those mistakes and fixing them and being better kind of in the future. I like to say we are a hostile space for bigots. After being out and about in the world, both like in real life and online, you can really get a sense of when people are saying shit and coming in to be antagonistic and when they're not asking in good faith. And so it is a space where people can be like uneducated and come to be educated as long as they are willing to put in the work. And so I think like morals and values, it has just been like I want this place to be an open space for everybody to learn and be better because we are all human and we all make mistakes, and it's important that we learn from said mistakes.
Yeah, you want to, that space you built, V, is a place to be, so we can understand. And listen, and you're also right about the whole safe place is not really a safe space. You know the old saying, "Nowhere is safe." It's. I mean, I'm not wrong, but it's you'll have those nasty people who will come into like the comments and say all kinds of disgusting things. But then you also have people who are uneducated about it, but they're willing to sit, listen, and learn. There was a situation that I saw with one of my friends. Apparently they had something mean to say about her, an educated person, but then when she came at him in the video, he made his account private on Instagram. and then later that night when I watched it, I was like, "Hey, why'd you make your page private? Come on back." I've been telling just be forewarned that if you start attacking us, we're not going to spare you. But to keep on the positive note, yes, COVID did mess up a lot of us. We had to stay indoors, but we both found ways to communicate with others. Like I started Twitch streaming in 2019. First game I did was Batman Arkham Asylum. Because I was like, I'm a huge Batman person. You saw, and I just figured, hey, if I can do at home work, I can do that. Now you see me doing this because I'm trying to connect with people. Even though, because listen, I told people I'm not going anywhere anytime soon because going to like different places is expensive these days, and it's expensive. So in the meantime, I gotta be able to do what I can from here to make it work. My parents were telling me you still need to get out and go meet people, not just stay cooped up in here. I'll try my best, to maybe set aside a budget and what I'm gonna do, going to all these amazing events. It's a work in progress, but we'll get to that point. But going back to this, but yes, education place, you're welcome to come in and you're safe with me. Just know that you have a safe space here with me. And same thing with you. Just know, if you want to, if there's something you don't know about, ask questions and tell me, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible.
Yeah, it's definitely like, as long as we are being respectful, then this is a space where you can not know things or fuck up and get like acceptance and help to know things and not fuck up kind of thing.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah.
So let's see. Next question. Streaming can create a real-time connection with people. What's been one of the most memorable moments you've had with your community?
Oh wow. I got married a year into my streaming kind of like career essentially. Um and I remember just everyone like rallying and being really excited. We weren't going to do like a registry or anything. We had a whole bunch of shit that we needed. And everyone was like, well, no, like we want to give you wedding gifts. And so we got a bunch of like, we put something together. We got a bunch of like fun little things where I just threw stuff on. I was like, that's funny. Let's put that on. And someone like actually gifted it to us. And then we did a stream after the wedding where we went on and we talked to everybody. And I just remember like being full of so much love, and just feeling so like overwhelmed because I had only been streaming for a year, but all of these people had come to know me so well and I had come to know them so well that we were able to like kind of help celebrate such a big day. Um like that was something that like blew my mind. And then every year I do a Trans Day of Remembrance stream where I hold my own vigil online, for people who can't go to in-person vigils. And without fail, like almost everybody shows up for these, in solidarity to help with like keeping an eye on the chat, to give me space to publicly like grieve with everyone. Um, it's something really beautiful of just like every Trans Day of Remembrance, the community comes together, and then like the wedding was really, I was like really blown away because it had been genuinely like a year into my streaming career, and I was like, it's something I'm excited about, but these people like barely know me. And everyone was just so excited for me, and we're really excited to kind of like chat with us after the wedding and stuff like that.
Well, well, shoot, that caught me by surprise. You got married?
Yeah, I've been married 5 years this August. 11 together 11 years with my partner there. Yeah.
Oh man, I wish I would have known you 5 years ago. But just well, congratulations on the marriage. I know I'm 5 years
Thank you.
late.
No,
But yes,
that's her. Thank you.
but yeah, mirror moments, yeah, definitely like listen, when you do something special like that, you gotta have some kind of like special ceremony or Twitch streaming special event going on. Like, you know how many people I've seen who do all these special events like for birthdays and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I was just thinking about something very awesome, V. You might like this. Like, I've done so much since June of 2025 last year, and I was like, shoot, maybe I need to make myself a cake when I go to Publix next time and put 100 episodes reached. I might do something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big like celebrate the small and the big wins kind of thing. Celebrate what makes you happy kind of thing. Like I hit 1,000 followers on Instagram and I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, thank you, thank you. But it was one of those things where I was like, what do you mean like 1,000 people follow me on Instagram? I think I need to make a cake. And I haven't made a cake yet, but I think I'm going to. I
You
was like,
need
I gotta
to.
get I
You
know. I
need
was like,
to.
damn.
Yeah, but yeah, that's what I plan to do. Because thing is, guess what? Down on the road here, in Georgia, Pooler, Georgia, they're about to build a Cinnabon and Carville shop with the ice cream cake. And I was like,
Mm.
what? Well, shoot, they need to hurry up and build that because I might want to go there and just create my own custom cake and all that stuff. So listen, I'm a huge Cinnabon person. I haven't eaten there in a while because I'm trying to get back to the gym. I've lost like a few pounds, and I'm still aching from 2 days ago.
Mm.
That's why I look slimmer as usual and different than I was back then. But yeah, celebrate the big wins. Make those connections with people who see you for like hey, accomplishments. Listen, it's okay to have those small wins. And listen, I had a conversation with somebody else. I'd rather just do the best I can than try so hard, like to be something I'm not, as in roll with the punches. And as you say, oh yeah, definitely. And we both know. Well, we all know there's no sorts of punches there. There's a lot of
Mhm.
punches, no sorts of punches. But you get the idea.
Yeah.
So next, actually, we're at the halfway point here.
Mm.
So are you enjoying our conversation so far?
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been good.
Okay, sure. Number 11, moderating and maintaining a healthy online space can be challenging. What are some things you've learned about protecting both your community and yourself online?
Mm-hmm. Um, Knowing like when people are there in good faith and when people aren't there in good faith. That's a big one. My online community is 18 plus only. Um, this is because not because I don't think minors deserve a space that they can exist in online, but because a lot of people in my space are adults, and I want to keep kids safe from interacting with adults. I don't know everybody in there, so I don't know like what could happen. I also don't know um all of the kids, and I don't know if there are like what would happen. So I want to keep adults safe. I want to keep kids safe. I want to keep myself safe. I have flat out like banned certain people who have come in from my like in-person life who I had one instance where I was talking about how I wanted to like order food from a place and I didn't name the place. And this person was like, "Oh yeah, I know that place," and like gave the like full on uh restaurant name. And I went, "Are you like, do I know you?" And they were acting really coy about having known me in real life. So I was like, okay, that's not happening. So I had to kind of ban that. I'm really stringent about like what kind of stuff I share in person. I know some people really I do a lot of things on weekends, so some people want me to do like day in my lives and stuff like that, but like for my own safety, I I don't do those. I would do like a travel vlog or something like that, but I don't do like day in my life content. Um I've got moderators from all different types of like backgrounds, different races, gender, sexuality kind of thing. We've all kind of come together. We have a very strict, like, this is what we do, this is what we accept, this is what we don't accept. These are bannable words and bannable phrases immediately. And so we have like, we went through, I think there were like 4 of us, and we went through on my Twitch just like words that will immediately be caught. And we just like wrote a bunch of stuff down. Um, we have a moderator chat where when things are happening like in the moment, something can be discussed immediately. Things don't happen without everyone being aware. I try to be very transparent as well about certain things. Um, Especially if it's like a public safety or like a community safety thing. So anytime we have had people in the community who have turned out to be really, really like shitty people and we didn't know at first, I we take like full responsibility where we'll make an announcement and we're like, hey, we weren't aware of this. This is what happened. These are the steps that have like we have taken to keep you all safe and to keep us safe. And this person is no longer in our community and not welcome at all, kind of thing. Um, I think being really transparent with the community is really important because then it means if someone is harassing somebody in the community and we're not aware, they feel comfortable then coming to us, and then we can kind of deal with that. We've also like tried to reduce like harmful languages kind of thing. So sometimes like I try not to use the term like crazy or insane or something like that, because it can be harmful to people experiencing certain like mental illnesses or just points in their life where they have been called these things and it makes them like worse. So we do our best to reduce like ableist language and things like that. I do my best to not stream content that is directly harmful. We have like a blanket ban on certain topics just because of the harm that comes from the people in those like related to said topic. Yeah, I've got a lot of rules and a lot of well, not a lot of rules, but a lot of structures in place to ensure comfort and safety to the best of our ability.
True. Definitely got to have rules in place, because I've seen so many people come in. Because I will say this, when I was streaming Super Mario Galaxy last week, I've been getting some messages talking about, hey, if you want to buy followers or whatnot. I was like, I tell you, these bots be botting all these like these scams. I've been getting scammed. It's like I literally had to block a lot. I think I blocked like 17 scammers up to this point, because they were trying to offer me like something to buy followers. And I was like, I'm not getting ready to do that with you. You know, like if I told you, and I also put in my rules, don't promote things without my permission first. So it's just getting exhausting for me. I mean, I'm not ready to just like throw in time, just let them keep on my chat. But you will have to have certain rules, because there's people who's going to say nasty things, say all kinds of like slurs, examples, and you just got to give them the boot.
Yep. Yeah. We one of my friends who's a mod, he's black, and so him and we sat and we like wrote out words that weren't allowed, and I was like, this is a slur, I can't say that slur, can you put that down? He was like, you can type it out. I was like, I will not, help me. And so we went through and we like blacklisted a bunch of slurs and stuff like that. I added Seribot to my stream as well, which will just like automatically boot out bots that come in to like spam. I have commands in place to like shut down chat and everything if hate trains happen, because hate raids were huge, and I think still are. But like I've got it all. I was like, we have ways to shut it down. We got ways to report this stuff. We have slurs blacklisted. It's did my best to ensure as much like stuff cannot get through, because I don't want that in there, and it's not fair to even like have it potentially slip through the cracks to anybody who comes into my stream.
Exactly. Yeah, I know it might be scary. You know, you gotta do what you gotta do to maintain order, because life without rules is chaos. So we got to make sure we enforce that. Last question, and then we'll be in section 4, identity representation, and it's going to be a short section 4 because it's only 3 questions. Okay. For someone who might be nervous about starting their own stream or content platform, what advice would you give them?
Start with something you love. Start with something you love. You don't need a camera. You don't need a good camera at all. I would say like a microphone, and it doesn't even have to be a good one. And a computer that is strong enough to run whatever streaming software you're doing and whatever game that you love. Start with something you love and just keep talking. It does not matter if you are talking to nobody, just keep talking. Because eventually people will come in and they'll show up. And if you're doing something you like and you love, people will stick around because they'll see that.
Yes, definitely. Definitely start like go back to your playbook. Go back to where it all started out for you. Like if you like pop culture or games or stuff. Listen, like I said before, when I started Twitch streaming, I did Batman Arkham Asylum, and I kept doing other video game series as well because I like playing games. I like showing off my gameplay and stuff. Like do what makes you happy. Like if you like cooking, that works too. Whatever it is, do what makes you happy. As V said here. So.
It's the number one way to keep people around. If you're happy and you're doing something you love, people will stick around because they know.
Exactly. Well, we're out of that section now. Now we're with identity and representation. These are going to be 3 important questions, okay? Because we're diving deep into like certain situations that you've experienced as well as the next session with navigating chronic illness, because you said you had chronic illness before too. But let's get through section 4 first. Now, you openly identify as queer and non-binary. How has embracing that identity shaped your creative journey?
It's made me happier. I'm happy. I'm happier being openly out. It gives me the confidence as well to then go and do things that I love. I was not happy before coming out. I was lying to myself, essentially, and I let other people dictate kind of where I was in my life. And then I came out and I found that I was just so much happier. I was able to do things because I wasn't sitting wallowing in like depression because I wasn't being true to myself. I was genuinely like very, very happy, which allowed me then to find community, to find friends, to be able to do so many more things because I wasn't lying to myself or to the public, essentially.
That's all that matters. Don't let nobody tell you different. Listen, I've seen so many people who like to express themselves and just be themselves. Listen, if you I got a question for you. Have you heard of SCAD, the Savannah College of Art and Design? Nope. Not really?
No, I don't think so.
So it's a college where they design and do all kinds of like arts and crafts. Well, art, photography, fashion design, etc. Listen, I've seen so many SCAD students in my hometown express themselves with the kind of art to be wearing. There was one person I actually interviewed back in the fall of last year, and she wears white face paint every day. And I was like, that's her. She likes expressing herself and what she likes. And I was like, don't let anyone tell you that you can't do that. Like that's the whole point. Like the whole point of that school is to express yourself, your artistic vision. And as with you're expressing yourself as part of being like, binary and queer. You're still expressing yourself, and you do like a lot of art, V. I've seen it. So yeah, and I think that's the most important. Like we can't let the people who just get jealous and just full of hatred stop us from doing what we have to do. Like I'm this way. I'm actually proud to be this way. I'm gonna keep doing what I like doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming out opened so many doors, and accepting who I was and how I identify, and then publicly sharing that. It was so much better.
Exactly. Like we shouldn't hide ourselves. It's like, there's a few pop culture references I've seen, oh, nobody should be able to isolate themselves, not even a time traveling cyborg. Another thing too is like I was have you remember that old show? It just never made it. It stopped after 26 episodes. Beware the Batman. It was an old show. Yeah, Beware the Batman.
Yes, I do remember this. Yeah.
So if you've seen that episode with Metamorpho and Katana, and she was saying like, they said some very interesting, inspiring stuff at the end of the episode, and it was like, oh shoot, he's, that was really nice, and that's important too, because he was saying, so what now? Are you gonna go back to the source? People are gonna be scared, and then Metamorpho was like, you're only a monster if you let yourself be.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? He went back up to the surface and tried to make things right. So it's stuff in those pop culture shows that y'all gotta look for context clues, because they do relate to real life situations.
Yeah. I think of like One Piece, that Frankie panel, existing is not a crime, a lot kind of thing, and I just, yeah, it's not. Everyone, you gotta be who you are.
Yeah,
I just, yeah.
I know that was a little mild, but it worked. We're working it.
Yeah.
Let's go to the next one, shall we? Now, representation in fandom spaces can mean a lot to people. Now, have you had moments where someone told you that your presence or work made them feel seen?
Yes. And it was potentially like one of the strangest things to me, just because I was just kind of there living, just kind of existing. And I remember someone just, it was, I can't remember if they DM'd me or if they said it in chat. And then someone told me in person as well, that just like me being there and like owning who I am, really helped them come to terms with themselves. I think it's a really humbling experience to have gone through like a lot of adversaries, in a sense, and like having someone else that you look up to and being like, wow, like I'm so glad that they exist and they continue to exist and they are very public about it. And then years later, having someone else turn to you and go, hey, thank you for like existing and continuing to exist and being very public about who you are, because that has helped me. And it's something that like it throws me off, just because I never thought I would be someone like that person to someone else. But it's really, really humbling, to think that like just my continued like existence and discussion about being queer and about being like disabled, and mixed, like has helped people come to terms with themselves and has made them feel seen in spaces that typically people want to kick us out of.
Yeah, and I'll add on to that. We gotta, and I like what you're doing so far, because you've done a lot of poets. I think you've done a few, like, work spot of a few stories and articles. Like, we need to have more people who are willing to do what others can't do for themselves. I've seen some people who are just scared to just go out and do things without being judged by what the public thinks. And some of us, we're too scared to speak out against like certain things that just can't like be. But we have, was a good thing, we have people who are willing to like go and tell people what you're all about, especially as being a queer binary person to people, because there's a lot of you guys out there, and people are speaking up about the injustices that are being done to other minorities. And that's and listen, it's there's always going to be some bad apples out there. There's always going to be people out there who will just think otherwise, but it's how we deal with it is what matters.
Yeah. I mentioned this earlier, but I live my life in a very much like a if not me, then who? Um, Everybody who's like, I wish I could do something, if we all did something, eventually something would change. And I think I live a very much if not me, then who kind of lifestyle because of the media that I consumed growing up. I watched and read a lot of Batman kind of thing. I watched and read a lot of Sailor Moon, Cardcaptor Sakura kind of thing. A lot of it is not so much like individualism, but a more so like, what do you owe the people around you? And I think we owe people a lot of things. I know there was a lot of like, you don't owe your friends, whatever, you don't owe people anything. There was a lot of that going around for a little bit. But I think like we do owe people our kindness and our understanding. And I think we owe people the ability to be better and help. And I think like I live that because that's the only way to be in community. And as a non-binary person, like that is community. If we didn't owe people kindness and the ability to be known, then fandom spaces wouldn't exist, queer spaces wouldn't exist, like all of these spaces wouldn't be around.
Yes, definitely, of course. Last question, and then we'll be at the next one. Afghan chronic illness. Being a mixed Vietnamese Canadian brings a unique perspective. Now, how does your cultural background influence your creativity or the characters you connect with?
Yeah. It's one, so creativity wise, like poetry wise, I talk a lot about being like mixed Vietnamese. Character wise, everyone has their own like head canons and things like that. And so sometimes my brain is like, oh, the character, I relate to them so much. They also are mixed Vietnamese kind of thing. But I think it also influences character design. When I was going through my first potential redesign for Navi, I actually didn't realize at the time because I was just pulling elements from Zelda's outfits and Link's outfits, but I had created a traditional Vietnamese ao dai as a concept art for said character. And then it kind of got away from me. I was like really sick, and so I just kind of grabbed shirt, poet shirt, pants, that kind of thing, and like just threw it all together. But I think it very much like influences designs that I pick. So now Navi is getting a proper redesign, and it is a traditional ao dai because that was the original design inspo. It influences like what kind of just kind of how I interact with fandom spaces as well, how I interact with people, because I have a different experience from someone who is like fully Vietnamese or someone who is fully white kind of thing, compared to like someone else like me who is a mix of two different kind of cultural aspects, and it brings a different thought process to specifically characters and fandom spaces. it means I do tend to lean a little bit more towards like Asian characters in traditional like white Western cartoons or something like that, or then in certain anime where it's very obvious that they are in Japan and these are all Japanese characters, I tend to lean a little bit more towards characters that are like known to be mixed kind of thing. Like I think about an anime I watched where there was like one of the main characters is half Japanese, half French, and I just remember being like, I relate to said character because half Asian, half like white European, and like the disconnect that one can feel where you don't fully belong in either space. Um, and then I think it just kind of influences how I present myself and like what I share to the internet on my stories or my monthly Instagram like photo drops, how I stream, what I write, um, kind of how I just navigate life in general.
Yeah, that's true. And listen, all the shows I've been watching, movies, and this goes back to what I was talking about, especially with the whole like situations with the cultural background on these characters.
Mm-hmm.
I've been watching all these shows and paying attention for context clues. Like when I back in February when I was watching the DC animated universe, and when it was February, I was watching Static Shock and the Justice League.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to compare and contrast between the two shows because they also had crossovers with each other. And Justice League was more focused on like the cosmic threats and end of the world threats and also dealing with personal issues.
Mm-hmm.
And Static Shock was dealing with, threats that matter on a smaller scale, but he's still also having to navigate being a superhero and also being a black person in his community. And there's another key point I want to say this. All of the Justice League, almost all of the 7 members, it was like an all white cast, but then they added John Stewart as the Black Green Lantern because they could have added Hal Jordan in there, but I was like, we need to add we need to keep it diverse, so they put a black character, John Stewart, for the Justice League, as they should. I'm glad they did,
as they should. Yeah.
yes. And I've seen. And when I watched Static Shock, there's been a lot of hints of racism and stuff going on in that show, as well as, like I said, Static Shock, he's just like Virgil Hawkins. He's just a person who's trying to like, deal with the consequences rather being a black person while also being a superhero.
Mm-hmm.
And that way, I was like, I'm glad, because I was like, we get that representation too, because I could be Static Shock. And so now sometimes he does team up with the Justice League, but the creators wanted to make sure they kept the tone of the show to deal with the situations that Static was going through. I also did some analysis too, whereas in the first seasons of Static Shock, he was wearing a white t-shirt with a black lightning bolt on his chest, and he was wearing purple and gold, yellow.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of bland and all that stuff. I was like, it was kind of a funny, fresh, but it didn't take on like the comic book series. When we get to season 2, they gave him a new constant one. Feel like, let's make sure that this feels like Static is a black superhero. They gave him the black and blue costume along with the black shirt and the gold lightning bolt on his chest to make it feel like he's like being serious and ready to like face like higher stakes in the rest of the show. And if this is equivalent to like all the stuff you've seen, like every show that you're watching, there's always going to be the cultural background, context clues, because I've seen like what's that show that I started watching and they're about to do a movie, Apothecary Diaries.
Mm-hmm.
They've done like a lot of stuff. They've done like a lot of cool, amazing stuff in there. And I was really paying attention. I was like, okay, so pretty much this is like how, the Chinese did culture back in the day. And listen, it's an anime show, voiced in Japanese, but they're trying to tell a story in that zone of their expertise to be like, this is how they do things like pageants, etc. You get where I'm coming from.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think, yeah, it's really important that like in those spaces we have just the proper representation and the proper shows that have said representation kind of thing. I think a lot of like Teen Titans with that one episode with Starfire.
Oh yeah, I know
And
what you're talking about. Go
yeah,
ahead.
that one. Yeah, that one episode. I can't remember the guy's name, but he calls her
His name
Brock,
is
and
Valor.
Yeah, him. And like that interaction with like Cyborg and Star, and just like the kind of like solidarity in a sense. I still think it's very, very funny that it instead of just saying like, of course I know how you feel, I am a black man, they were like, I'm part robot. Because I think obviously kids show, sometimes kids don't always pick up on like racism, but they definitely picked up on him being like a robot was a big thing. But like I think about that a lot, and how like that has influenced fandom spaces, and like how people interact with the world. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Listen, like I said before, I was just a kid when I was watching all this stuff that was coming out. But as a young adult, I start to really understand what it was all about. Because it's like you sometimes listen, as kids, you just miss up almost, you just trip on some of the clues that are just right in front of you, and you just don't get it until you get older at a later age.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's probably why with like in that specific episode they went robot kind of thing with Cyborg. Because I think a lot of kids like
Still don't understand.
some kids oh yeah, a lot of kids still don't understand the nuances of racism, but they did understand that he looked different because he was part robot.
Yeah. And I think you know, and the more I watch these things, the more I understand. But yeah, if the kids aren't ready to understand yet, let's just give them what they can know first, and then we'll teach them when the time comes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, shoot, that was an important question 15. Let's go on to the next one. Navigating chronic illness. Now, you've spoken openly about being chronically ill. I know that wasn't an easy task to do, V. How has that reality changed the way you approach creativity and productivity?
I got to know my limits a lot better. And I have to actually like listen to my body kind of thing. Leading up to conventions, sometimes I'm not the best at it because I will enter crunch time where I go, oh shit, I need to get this done. Recently I've been kind of very much like, I don't get it done, I don't get it done. I'll deal with it later. It's a next convention problem. If it's not as done as I like it to be, then I don't have to bring it. But I definitely try to like listen to my body. I am physically disabled from an old injury, so it comes and goes. It flares up and then it'll get better. So I've got good days, bad days kind of thing. Currently, I'm in an in-between day kind of thing. I did a huge overhaul of cleaning with my office and my craft space, so I'm like just getting over a flare of my knee injury. So just kind of keeping it easy, icing it, pain management kind of thing. Other stuff is I have a chronic one that, like a chronic illness that can be debilitating. And so just making sure essentially like I'm drinking enough water, I'm eating enough food that isn't going to impact it, and learning to like catch early signs. It's something I've been dealing with all of my life. So it's always been a factor in my creative process. Like, are there days that I can do cosplay, or are there days where this like illness makes it so I can't, and I have to be comfortable, and so I don't get to wear something to a convention kind of thing. And it's a lot of like learning where my limits are, especially now as an adult who as a kid very much pushed through those limits, like knowing that I should have stopped, but being a kid being like, I want to do this thing and still going forward with it. So it's influenced kind of how like timelines, especially of like creating something, and then it'll influence the day of if I can do like can I get into a cosplay or am I just showing up in a nerd shirt?
Yeah, it's a long process, and it's a lot of steps involved for you doing so much in one day. Like I can't get everything done in one day. Sometimes it's okay to take a break if you're tired. Like, you know, I think the one thing people have problems with is that they see so much, and this is another situation. Whereas y'all get so consumed by social media so much that you like be like, oh, I got to do this, and that, and where it's really not the case in point in this type of scenario. And you know, like for me, exactly, like listen, it took me until 2023 to understand like I need to start really just enjoy the small moments in life and not try to chase the thing big. Because do I really want to be famous? Like, is that really what I want in life? It's not fulfilling. Like, this is a conversation I had with another person last week. Like, you know, going to all of these events, these red carpet premieres, whatever, in California, because I know you're close to California, all those premieres and everything and galas. It's like, sure, it's going to build your resume up, but is it fulfilling enough for you? That's the question. Like, what is it in life that's really going to make you happy?
Yeah. Yeah, it's strange. Like, I'd like to maybe one day go. I think it's really fun, like looking at cosplayers going to big like red carpet events, but like it's not something that I'm gonna push my body to fulfill like that kind of thing. There's a Slime Rancher movie coming out. I'd love to do that, but I'm not gonna like with my illness, I'm not going to push myself past boundaries. And I think like that's something that a lot of people who aren't like disabled or chronically ill also need to find with themselves, because sometimes I have a couple friends who are not disabled or chronically ill, and they'll like push themselves past what is available for them, and I'm like, well, why are you doing that? Like, you gotta take time. Like, I know you want to do these things, but you have to really listen to yourself.
Exactly. Other thing too is, and I told this to other people, like once the stuff is over, the next day, you know, you're back to your normal lives.
And then how are you gonna feel after? How's your mind gonna be? How's your body gonna be? Like, you got to give yourself at least a little bit of space and a little bit of grace with how you move through everything.
Exactly. Exactly. Next question. Were there moments where you had to redefine what success or progress looked like for yourself? You probably already know the answer to this one. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with like cosplays that have like 100% deadline or something like that. Having to like really wanting to present something, sometimes you just have to go, okay, that's it, kind of thing. That's what I can do. It looks recognizable enough, and that's all I can do for this. And then you can obviously continue going after an event if you want to, or you just don't you don't bring it to the first event that you wanted to do, kind of thing. Thinking about it, yeah, Connell, my Superboy cosplay, I wanted done for the Superman movie premiere last year, and it was something that was not actually feasible for me in the end. So I was like, okay, new deadline, Halloween. And that ended up also not being feasible. I was really ill over the summer and I moved. And it was something that like there was so much happening in my life that I had to go, okay, that sucks. And I'm really upset about this, that like my life has gotten in the way, and especially my illness has gotten in the way, and I'm like really, really, really upset. But it is also just my reality, and I know this is my reality, so I'll allow myself to be upset for a little bit, but now I have to accept it, and we will just move on, and we will do it next time. We will get it done eventually. It's just having to know like where limits are, and it's okay to be disappointed. I think it's natural to be disappointed, but it's also something that sometimes you just have to accept. So yeah, sometimes my illness makes it that I can't do things, and I'm incredibly disappointed, but it is also something that I accept and then know that I can do it later.
Exactly. And this goes back to what I'm saying, you know, I can't do everything in one day, but I will come back to it at a later time.
Yeah. Yeah. Giving your body the grace to not be able to do things. Yeah.
Exactly. Let's see. What helps you stay motivated and continue creating during difficult periods?
I like it. I think the simple fact I like it. It's difficult, but I know that I always feel like accomplished and I feel better about certain things. Um, Giving myself the moment to kind of not do anything so that I can have the energy to do it a little bit later. Sometimes I have pushed through, and it's not always comfortable, but I always still feel very like accomplished. Uh, what keeps me motivated is the simple fact like I like it. I like putting stuff together and seeing how it all comes to be. I think as well, like having a support system around me that is able to recognize when I am pushing myself and then like being able to tell me to kind of stop, or being willing to help me is really nice. Um, I think definitely like something it just I like doing it. I like seeing it kind of thing. It gives me some place to focus, especially when like I am going through such a rough patch, either like with like illnesses and stuff. It gives me a place to focus my energy, and then having a support system that can give me a hand if it gets to be too much is nice.
Yes, that's amazing. Definitely have a support system. Stop,
Hmm.
you know, just like, you know, sometimes as you know, to get motivated, sometimes I watch something inspirational or watch like a special scene from something, and it helps me keep
Hmm.
going for the next day.
Yeah. I like to sometimes put on like anime openings or endings where I'm like, this is gonna get me going. And I'll just like play
Yes.
that. Yeah. Like last night I was like, I don't want to keep going with organizing my office, but I literally would not have been able to do today if I hadn't finished at least moving a couple things around. I was like, I gotta keep motivated. So I actually put on the Digimon movie soundtrack from the year 2000. And so I
Yes.
was just listening to that. I was like, okay, I do run around. You run around. And so like that's kind of I did a lot of Digimon soundtrack recently to keep motivated.
Okay. Sweet, sweet. I ain't a huge Digimon person, but that works
Mm,
too.
that's very yeah. I love the Digimon movie. I'm a big you can't see him. Oh no, you can. Pikachu.
Yeah, I
Big
see
Pokemon
Pikachu.
fan. You can see Pikachu, my OG Pikachu backpack. So I will also put on like Pokemon music. Um, one like it's always like the music as well that will keep you going. I listen to a lot of classical Tchaikovsky if I need to stay motivated because that man was using cannons and that's gonna keep me going.
Whatever keeps you going, it works.
Hmm.
Sometimes I listen to all those openings and endings to My Hero Academia as well, especially
Mm-hmm.
the final season with the Revo.
Okay, yeah, I haven't listened to that one or watched that one yet. But I have listened to a lot of like the openings and stuff. I'll do like Full Metal Alchemist openings or like any of the Gundam openings as well.
Those work too.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, it's official. We're at the finale.
Ah.
Looking forward. So, when you look at the future of your creative journey, what are some projects or goals you're really excited about pursuing? I think you already told me some of them already.
Yeah, I want to enter into a cosplay competition. I want to do at least 2 cosplay competitions because I've got 2 big pieces that I want to properly do. Beatrix LeBeau and this very special secret project. So there's like the aspect of I want to do a cosplay competition. I also like goal-wise, I just want to keep going. I want to keep crafting. I don't think there's ever a age cap for cosplay. And I know some people like to say, oh, you're too old for cosplay. You're all too old, especially for people who are over the age of like 30 kind of thing. But I think like there's never a too old for cosplay. I think we just keep honing our skills and we just keep doing like something fun that we love. I want to publish a collection of poetries, like poems that I have written. So that one's actually kind of halfway in the works. I don't have enough poems, but I do have a plan for that. Goal-wise accomplishment, I don't even know. Like, yeah, cause a competition. I want to like do like publish a book. I want to keep having fun. I want to keep enjoying things and learning new things. I want to never lose my sense of whimsy when it comes to art that is created.
Exactly. Well, my goals right now, I just want to be
Mhm.
successful. I'm not asking for anything else. I just want to be successful.
Nope, that's so fair. That is a really good goal.
Exactly. No matter what I do, like I know there's a bunch of stuff that I want to do. I have certain titles, but I don't care at this point. I just want to be successful in life.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I know you want to do the same thing too.
Yeah, yeah. I want to make sure I'm staying true to myself as well when I do it because I feel like sometimes people will like not always stay true to themselves to get there. And you can tell a lot of the times. But I know you're gonna stay true to yourself getting there as well.
Oh, 100%.
Mhm.
100%. And then last question. If someone discovers your work for the first time today, what message or feeling do you hope they walk away with?
Um, hmm. I hope they know it's been made with love. And I hope they know that uh whatever skill sets that you have, you can do that too, kind of thing. I hope yeah, I hope they know that they can do it and they see that this has been made with love.
Exactly, V. I love it. Exactly. Make sure you take love and care and whatever you do that makes you happy.
Hmm. You can always tell when it's made with love. It's why food tastes better.